Okay.
Okay. So hey everybody. This is 3LZ. I'm Christina. This is my first guest, Durell Peart. This is an amazing guy. I met him. What would you say is like a year ago? It's been
Uh, it's been a while, almost that probably.
around 7 or 8 months, I believe, somewhere
Yeah,
around there.
yeah.
And we met through music. So you can go ahead and tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Durell Peart. I am an artist manager, a speaker, music business consultant. I mean, I use the word artist manager a lot because I'm not out here managing a bunch of talent. Like, I manage artists who I look who are like family to me because, I when I first started, I wanted to be this big artist manager, but then I realized when you're working with independent artists, it's not really lucrative to be an artist manager, you know,
Yeah.
because um, I like to function more as a consultant because I like to provide education and really help artists navigate the space. Been in the industry for about 17 years or so.
Yeah.
Featured in 7, 8 magazines. Been to 6 different countries. Um,
My boy's doing things.
yeah, and again, it's not. I don't ever say that to brag. It's just about because this is a tough space.
It truly
Especially when you're dealing with independent artists who don't have any money, and
yeah.
who's that's always tough because anyway. I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole, but I'm just glad to be here.
Definitely. So, okay. So when we met about 7 or 8 months ago, that's when I was sort of, I had told you that I was going to be doing some stuff in the music industry. I told you that I was going to be working on music and there was some other things going on. Well, I just so happened to start my podcast about a week ago. Meanwhile, I've been, developing it, doing pursuing a degree. So I'm getting a bachelor's in audio production. I'm starting to do music full hands. Since then, I have been just developing what we're doing now, music and getting connected with innovators around the world. So, entrepreneurship in the music industry is it's a very trending thing right now.
Yeah.
I'm hearing about it everywhere. And, for those of us that have been doing this for forever, I know you have been doing this for a really long time. I haven't been in the music industry per se for that long, but I've always been a singer. And until now that I'm in this entrepreneurship, business, music space,
Mhm.
I can tell you that I am so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that we're doing this because it's like, I never thought that this would even happen. I just sort of put it out there and I worked towards it. So
Yeah.
it's along those lines of the things that we try to help others with, and that's like getting into the industry, figuring out before you get into the industry, figuring out the music business,
Hmm.
and really immersing yourself in a creative, so or in a creative way, should I say.
Right. Right.
And I wasn't able to to manage all of that a while ago, and so I had to go through the process of really managing that because this is a whole nother ball game. It's a whole nother ball game in the sphere of careers. And when I thought about my career as a singer or a songwriter, or this direction that I'm going with music, I never would have like imagined it being so dynamic. and at the same time, like really beautiful to go through. Aside from all the shade, all the heat that you get lately, there's been a ton of talk everywhere. We've got a lot of stuff going on. Everybody does. And there's been a lot of this like overly competitive attitude I've been seeing. It's like hate. I guess that's what I've been seeing everywhere is like people just doing out of the wall, off the wall things for no reason, just to throw some kind of shade on somebody, on an artist or a producer who's just doing his thing or her thing. And it's like, I've been noticing that and I've been learning how to navigate through that. So it's been crazy. And your talk with me a long time ago gave me another fundamental like gem, I guess you could say, when we spoke a long time ago. Just the way that you deliver, honestly, is what made it even more so a passion for me. I wanted to do something that would not just make you proud, because I don't want to throw that fluff out there, but in a way, yeah, in a way I wanted you to know that your message to me worked. And that is it's a very special thing to find somebody who can influence you like that, and they don't even know it, because I'm sure you didn't really even know that
No,
you
I didn't.
influenced me like that.
I was literally just, doing what I love to do. Um,
Exactly.
Sometimes it's like, man, because as a coach, as a consultant, um, I really like the one-on-one environment, right?
Yeah.
The tough thing about the one-on-one environment, though, is very hard to scale that, you know. So a lot of people are doing, a lot of coaches. Shout out to people like Rick Barker, who's really cool. There's several of them. Katie Zaccardi, who's a colleague of mine. There's so many of them coaches out there that I'm
Yeah.
not the only one, right? There's so many of them. Brianna Rellis. These are people who I personally know who are artist coaches, and that's what they do. And a lot of them do courses, you know, because honestly, the digital product, and I feel like I'm damn near being forced to have to do that because
Yeah.
you know it's just it's the only real way to scale it at a level that makes sense. Is to do kind of a module type thing, where it's like it's a self, but not everybody likes a self-paced.
Yeah.
Some people like to know that they have a session. Some people like to know that, and when people do those self-paced courses, they'll usually do like, okay, on Monday or Tuesday every week, we're gonna have 300 people in the room, but it's not so much focused on you. It's almost just like a Q&A, like, hey, what do you think about it? And again, that stuff is good, but there's some people who really like you to dive in
Yeah.
to
And
them
that's
personally and really like do the coaching portion of it. So, I'm torn, man, because I know what I love, I know what I'm passionate about, and that's the one-on-one, like, how we talked and have those conversations. But it's like, how do I do this where, you know, I can reach a lot more people, and so I got to figure it all out. But yeah, but when we talked, I was just sharing from the heart, man, because I know how hard it is. This is really, really hard. You mentioned earlier about you had no idea. It's one thing to be a singer, okay, but it's another thing to pursue music professionally, um, to do it the right way.
yeah. Oh yeah. Because
And it's a
there's so many.
very, very expensive path.
Yeah.
And extremely expensive. You know what I mean? You good? I it's extremely expensive, and I think that's one of the things that people realize once they really jump into the space. Like, oh no, this is more than just being able to sing or being able to write a song. You know, you actually have to go get fans and supporters, and you know, again, it depends on what you want to do. If you just want to be a songwriter and you don't want to be the artist, then you have to go get people to want to sing your songs.
Yeah,
So,
it's a crazy world. It
right,
is. There's so much to do, and there's so um
right,
like this is why people feel, or artists feel like they need somebody to manage this, because it's vast.
yeah,
It's like a river. Once you open shit up, it just like,
yeah,
oh my gosh, just the scope of what an artist truly
right,
has to do to get to that level, or to a level that they are, starting to get cash flow in, and they're starting to get known. People want to do things with them, and it's no longer them trying to chase it. Is it's invaluable. I couldn't even put a price on it, because honestly, it's so much.
right. And you said something interesting there about managing, right? But I see what you really mentioned there is mentorship.
Absolutely.
That's really what it is.
Absolutely.
Because people, a lot of artists like to say, "Oh, I need a manager." I
Yeah,
said,
that's what I mean.
and I'm like, well, that
You need a mentor.
you need more of a. I used to like to use the word mentorship because
Mhm.
when you first start out, you don't have anything to manage. There's nothing for a manager to come in and manage, right? You need a manager when you're so busy and you have enough things going on. So you got to think, right? So let's talk about this for a second. So if you're doing it on a traditional commission based off of what a manager gets, a manager normally gets 20% of your income that they generate, right? But in music, the manager pretty much working off of commission is kind of what you kill, right? So the manager's only going to get paid when you get paid. But the problem is for new artists first coming out, they don't have anything built to where the manager can say, "Hey, pay my artist $2,000 to come perform." They're gonna be like, "What?" You know, they're gonna be like, "What are you talking about?" Right? So, it's not a situation where you can just automatically be like, "Hey, pay me." So when you're first starting out, the manager essentially, if you're asking for a manager, they're really working for free because they have to. It takes a lot to do this, and it's not always, and it's not necessarily the manager's job to fund your career. So a lot of artists think that, oh, my manager's going to pay for everything. Nope, that's not the way it goes because the manager technically works for you,
Yep. That
right? So you're supposed to pay them. Now, there are some people, like I don't know if you're familiar with the guy Russ. You know who Russ is, the
Yes,
artist
I
Russ?
do. I follow a lot of the music. Yep.
Yeah, so Russ talks about and
Just for
this
single.
concept, right? The concept of paying your manager a salary, right? So which ideally, to be honest with you, that's the best, honestly, like that's a better way to do it. But in order to pay your manager $150,000 a year, right? You have to be making a few million a year
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you do.
to
In order
do
to do
that,
it the right way, yes, you do.
right?
It,
So ideally, you would love to be able to know, okay, the manager is going to get paid 100, but also too, you have different types of managers. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you if you want to go down that rabbit hole. We're not, but there's different types of managers. There's your personal manager, right?
yeah.
There's your business manager, you know, the
Yep.
ones there's your tour manager, there's all sorts of different
So
managers.
many.
And then you also have management firms, right?
Yep. And
Like
which
a Rock Nation,
whole,
you
yep.
know. So how that situation normally works is you're signed to like Rock Nation, which is Jay-Z's company, or Nick Cannon with the Incredible, or Scooter Braun with Scooter Braun Project. And what they do is they handle the big shit. They go and do the big corporate stuff. They're not doing the day to day. You're gonna have somebody who your day to day manager is probably gonna be somebody that's, you
In
know,
their business.
on the ground, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to basically execute what the big management team wants to do. So
Yes.
they're going to be like, hey,
They're
you know,
representing the top, basically.
right. So in a situation like that, you would basically have a rep. You know what I mean? Have a somebody. It's almost like being having an account. Like this person is assigned to you. You're handling all this person for, for our company. Like for instance, like this rep, she does all Megan Thee Stallion for Rock Nation, and that's just gonna be your contact. But then Megan Thee Stallion has her own manager, you know.
Yeah.
So she has her own day to day manager, you
Mhm.
know. So yeah, so it's just different. But I think what you were mentioning was really about wanting mentorship and guidance, because again, the music industry is the only industry, or the entertainment industry in general as a whole, is an industry where you don't need any sort of licenses or um, things that say you're ready to go, like you're ready to be in the,
Yep.
when you work in different industries, you have to be licensed, to be a real estate agent, to be a doctor, to be a lawyer.
Mhm.
It basically says, hey, you by them be having these licenses that they can go out here and practice, and they're in them, and you don't have to worry about the fact that they know what they're doing.
Yep.
There's going to be no malpractice. Like your doctor is licensed to practice medicine, and
Yep.
you don't have to worry about, or your lawyer
I trust that they know what they're doing.
Right. Now, an entertainment lawyer I'm sure has to have and if you practice any kind of law, there are things you have to be able to be, have to make sure that that you follow certain rules.
Yeah, my stepdad
But
is an entertainment lawyer. He used to be. Well, he's the founder of Chippendale Dancers, and
okay.
yeah, and he's about to get. He has a show that's coming out, Curse of the Chippendale on Discovery. It's coming out on October 3rd, I think, October 3rd or October 4th. But he does entertainment law, and I mean, I can't even like dive into that language because it's like
Yeah.
I get lost. What they have to do is honestly like that breakdown. It just goes so deep, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm learning about right now in audio production school. I'm going to Full Sail University, and it's like,
Oh yeah. I'm a full sail grad.
really?
Did you
Oh
not know
my
that?
gosh, that is so.
I live 5 minutes. I live 5 minutes from campus.
What, are you kidding me? I'm going to Full Sail University online. I'm taking.
Oh, okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the family.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm a full sail grad,
Wow.
2015, entertainment business,
There we go.
valedictorian, and then I really thought you knew that. I don't think
I think you had told me
I
a
probably
while
told you, but
ago,
you probably forgot.
and I obviously did. I obviously did forget, but I know that you said that. I just got lost in all the different stuff that you do, honestly, and all the different stuff that's been going on over here. That just never it didn't even dawn on me. Even if I had seen it, like if I had just read it recently, it
Yeah.
didn't even dawn on me because I'm just so, I'm so focused on
No,
getting this material and getting.
I'm glad. Well, I'm glad I'm glad that you're obviously going online. I'm sure. And it's a different experience online, because one thing I will say about Full Sail is I always try to tell people, obviously, you have a family, so it's hard to kind of get to camp. But I always try to show people, if you can get to campus and if you can come to Florida and actually come here and go
There.
on campus,
I want
it's
to.
a much better experience. But I know, obviously, we have a lot of people who go online, and and the only ever time they come to the campus is to walk for graduation, or
Campus is so nice. I just seen the.
oh yeah, it's
I look
beautiful.
at it all the time. I'm seeing it
Beautiful. Like I said, I literally live
like 5 minutes.
10 minutes,
Yeah.
5 to 10 minutes from campus.
That is so.
Yeah, Full Sail's a great place. What I always tell people about Full Sail is that unfortunately, sometimes Full Sail gets a bad rap because a lot of people graduate from there and nothing ever. They like, they want to blame Full Sail for why they're not successful, why they're not whatever.
It's you.
I always tell people you have to make your way, and this is a
It's your
when you
responsibility.
come into this industry, for instance, like as in audio production, right? Or most people come to Full Sail for recording arts, meaning, and people naturally think, oh, recording artists. It's not the same.
No.
The recording arts degree at Full Sail is really a technical degree. It's really a degree for people who want to be audio engineers or like they want to be live sound, things of that nature, right? Post production, that type of thing. So people naturally, there's a lot of people who come to Full Sail who have a goal to be, to graduate and do things. But then I realized once you get out of Full Sail, now you're competing with everybody that didn't go to school who wants to do the same thing you do, right? Because you don't have, speaking specifically from audio production, like you don't necessarily have to go to school to learn audio production. You can
No.
teach yourself,
Yeah.
And
There's
I always tell people too, because again, as you know, the courses are only a month long. So there's
yep.
only so much that they can teach you in 4 weeks.
And yeah, and
You know
really
what I mean?
like
Right? There's only so much that they can teach you. So
yeah. That's why a
a
lot of
lot.
focus is right there. Like it's so short. I have
Mhm.
to like put everything else aside and say, okay, I'm gonna get this done, this done, this done, this done, and we're just gonna keep it pushing like that. And I have to keep Full Sail in mind. Like I have an assignment tomorrow that I have to have just a response. I have to respond to two different, cases. And
Yeah, I mean, they designed the school with the creative mind, right? Because
yeah,
most people who go to Full Sail went to other schools like I did, but most people who go to Full Sail come there because their brains work a little differently. Most creative people, your brains work differently than the non-creatives.
yep,
So non-creative, for instance, non-creative people don't understand how, for instance, like let's say you have a song in your head and you have to just get it out of your head. Like that's why you have a lot of producers who they don't have a full studio setup in where they live. They may have a little pre-production setup,
yep,
just enough so they can actually get the idea down, the skeleton of it,
yeah,
so that they can go back in and finish it later.
in the real
But at
street.
least, right, and most people don't understand. People who are not creative don't necessarily understand why it's like that. Most creative people are nocturnal. They like to work at night,
Yeah,
you know, when everybody else is sleeping. Like it's how their brains work. And for that being said, a lot of creative people aren't good business people. A lot of them who are creative don't because your brains just don't think like that. Your brains are creative brains. You guys are right brain, right?
yeah.
And then your right brain people are your creative, your artsy people, and then your left brain people are your analytical people, like your engineers, people like who are very logical and analytical and things like that.
Yeah.
But then you obviously have center. We're all center brain to an extent because we all have because so most of us either right brain or left brain, but all of us are center brain to some point because we obviously have to know, okay, I have to get up at this time to go here or this. So, not like you can't be so artsy that you just have no clue of like what the heck's going on.
Yeah.
But for the
There
most
are
part,
people like that out there, but it's just because their focus hasn't been on the business part. They don't know how to use
yeah.
that other.
And there are some creative people who are great at both, who know
Yeah.
how to put both hats on.
Mm-hmm.
There's creative people that, like, if you look in the industry, right, like a guy like Ron Fair,
Mm.
right? You know who Ron Fair is?
I do.
You
I do.
heard the name? Yeah, so Ron Fair, obviously a music producer, you know. My friend and colleague, Barry Coffin, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Who's written 200 songs for film. So they're guys who are great creative who can sit down and create because they're creatives first, but they can do the business stuff too. And very few people can do that. Ron Fair being a guy that can, like Ron Fair used to be the guy that would go in the studio with Christina Aguilera and make the record. He might be in the boardroom during the day handling all the meetings as the executive, but then at nighttime when everybody else goes home, he's making the record, right? Um, so yeah, and these days you don't have a lot of people running the industry that are music people. that are musicians. At one point, the music industry used to be run by musicians and people who were music people, and now it's not really that way.
Mm-hmm.
So, but what I'm saying is it go back to the point that we were making about this. Your brains work differently. So I'm so glad that that you that you've taken the time. Full Sail's not cheap. It's not cheap to go there. It's definitely not cheap to go there. That being said, right? So no, neither is medical school or neither is law school.
You have
If
to
you feel
invest
if
somewhere.
you feel like you want to do now, because I'm the type of person where I tell people, if you don't know what you want to do, then don't go to Full Sail. If you're
Yeah.
not really, if you don't know what it is you want to do, and this goes for like Full Sail, not the school to go to just to find yourself. That's not
Yeah.
people who go to Full Sail. They know exactly what they want to do. They know exactly why they came there.
Yep.
It's not a school you go to just as a
Figure out
regular
what
high
you
school
want to do.
kid.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do, if you're gonna do that, just go to traditional school. It's not a place to go to find yourself as a young person or whatever.
Because it's not that type of schooling. It's
No,
not like a broad
no.
range of, it doesn't have
No,
science going
now
on.
they have their gen eds, because that they have to, because to be able to be a university, you have to have, so you know what I mean. So there
Yeah.
are certain gen ed
Yeah.
courses that you have to, like you have to take English, they offer you have to take certain
You
courses.
have to have already your prerequisites. You have to have already or take them if you're going to go into certain programs. Yeah.
Right, and for the most part, you don't have to test. The only program you have to test into at Full Sail, I think, is game development, or because you have to be able to pass Algebra 2 or something like that. So
Yeah.
because of all the coding and the analytics, like all
Yeah.
for the most part, most other programs at Full Sail, you don't have to test into it. Like you just say, hey, this is what I want to do. But that's just because of the analytical part of it.
Now you make me want to switch and go gaming. Now you make me want to get tested, man.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that again, people don't realize, video games are a really, really lucrative industry and a lot of money being made in video games.
Just sitting there playing games, I'm seeing people make a lot of cash. I'm like,
right. So yeah, but again, and a lot of people 30, 40 years ago, even 20 years ago, it wasn't like something, you want to go make video games? Again, most normal people
everything is going online.
Video games is something you just do on the weekends or at night after work. Like most people don't think, just like they think music is something. Just like most people think that music is a hobby or music is something you do, or you can't make, or people think, you can't really make a living making music, or you can't make a living making this. And for you definitely can these days because of internet and social media and things like that. But again, it takes the right type of person to
step into that space.
To step into the space of, okay, I want to go take have a creative career. Again, because most parents are thinking for their kid, you should go be a doctor, you should go be, because that's just what that's just what they know. They were never taught that you can go be an audio engineer for a living and mix records for a living. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And make a really good living. Now, when you first get into it, the thing about the audio industry is it's very low pay when you first get in. Like so we said it's not lucrative. Like nothing about this business when you first get in, because this is all about relationships.
Yeah.
So you have to, along the way, make relationships. You can't just get your degree from Full Sail or from any of these audio schools. There's not Full Sail, not the only one. There's so many of them.
There's so many. I'm right here in LA. There are so many right here.
Yeah, right. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of recording schools, and LA Film School, which is our sister school.
That LA Film School.
Yeah, that's full. Yeah, that's our sister. That's our sister school.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's like to do that. I was figuring out whether I wanted to do that or regular Full Sail, because I was just going into this space, and I know that this is what I want to do. I know, like, stepping into this area where I'm doing podcasts and I'm getting involved with more of that communication, like you were saying.
Right.
It's really coming into play. Everything that I've sort of wanted just kind of fell into Full Sail anyway. I know that this is
Yeah, well, again, and that's just why I said I tell people all the time, like, if you know this is what you want to do, see the people who talk shit about Full Sail are people who are never going to be successful anyway, whatever they do.
yeah.
Because the
They're,
truth is, any college, right, any school you go to,
they
right,
come from a place of judgment, and that's
any
the
school you
worst
go
way
to,
ever.
you have people who, because let's be real, most people who go to college never end up working in the career field that they even went to school for anyway.
Yeah.
Most of them don't. Very few people
99.9, yeah.
go to school and end up having a career in the or having to have yeah right actually going for whatever it is they went to school for. Very few people are willing or do that, because life happens, things happen,
Yep.
and they don't actually do the things that make them happy. And the thing about Full Sail is that at least people who go to Full Sail are bold enough to actually chase their dreams, right? Because again, sometimes against their parents' wishes, against because again, parents because they only most parents only see it life through the prism of their own eyes, right? And not so much like, okay,
I
yeah,
was
this
told
is
to be a doctor. I was told to go and do veterinary school or be a lawyer or get into teaching. And my family has always known about my voice. Like they're not strangers to it. My grandmother had always, they're always making me sing all the time, but I
Mhm.
never heard, hey, go get into music, go
Well, it's
figure out.
because a lot of people don't know how to get into that professionally,
Yeah,
right? Because most people
because
don't.
it's
Like
tough.
it,
It
it's
really
not some.
is
It's
tough.
not something. The music industry again is because, like I said, most people don't really know how to get into it from a professional standpoint,
Yeah,
right?
it's
So
tough.
yeah, there's a lot of people who know
Find
how to.
your angle, and you
Yeah, a
gotta.
lot of people who know how to sing and are great singers or whatever it is they do, but again, doing it at the level of being a great singer or a rapper or whatever it is you do, dance, whatever. But it's nothing to approach it professionally because now it's because it's a real industry,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah,
so you have to have relationships. You have to find your way in. And it used to be prior to the internet that you found your way into internships. You interned and not so much just to get people just so people you can do free work. It's more about interning so that's where you can build your relationships at because this industry is all people.
mhm.
I don't care from what aspect you're going about it. It's still all people.
Yeah, yeah. It
you
is
know,
all interpersonal too. Along with those people, it's all you have to deal and know how to communicate and
right,
control your feelings, control, all of that outside noise. You
right,
really have to have a lot of communication together. And, it bleeds into your relationships. It goes back to what your parents did for you or to you. It goes back like deep, and
yeah,
that's one of the reasons why I started, this podcast, and I chose to develop myself before I did all of this and to develop at least the business and to get more relationships involved because it's so hard doing this on its own. If you have no background, if you have no support, if you have no way to talk to people, you are in the wrong industry. And it's just that's one of those things I've learned is if you're not willing to do the elbow work in this business and really like just be a coachable person, be easy, humble. And there's a lot of complexity to that too. But if you're not willing to do the work and invest in yourself and other people, this is not the business for you. This is not the area for you to go in.
yeah.
Choose a 9 to 5 or choose some other industry that doesn't involve communicating and having the
Yeah,
relationships with
right. Look, this is not an
or
easy
manage
industry.
people, for that
Yeah,
instance. Like entrepreneurship
yeah,
is the same way. You have to
yeah,
be able to manage a full-fledged business, And that's administrative involved, that's ethical involved, and that is, that's practical involved. And it goes into like, oh my gosh, just starting this whole thing, that's why I got swept up and I haven't been able to even do music, is because the business is big enough itself. That's a whole realm of schooling that honestly could take me another 10 years to learn.
Mhm.
But
the beautiful thing about
that's the beauty of
that type of technology, that type of school, is that we have a lot of people out there that are teaching.
Yeah.
See, here's what I would say: that a lot of people again are going to get these massive degrees, but really we're in a space now where you have a lot of people who kind of teach a la carte. So it's almost like, okay, because here's the thing with traditional. Here's the thing with traditional school, right? So again, you have a certain accreditation. So for instance, we have national, like Full Sail is what we call regionally accredited, right? Versus national accreditation. So basically, like all your state schools have a national accreditation. So that means that the state has to approve the curriculum, right? So so with Full Sail, the state doesn't have to approve anything. Like they can decide, okay, if this isn't working, we just take it out of the, because again, the entertainment industry is forever changing. It's always changing. It's always what's working now. What's right now, TikTok is hot and all these other things. In 5 years, it's going to be something totally.
Yeah.
It's going to be something like in 6 months. There's going to be something new. Mm-hmm. Every 6 months, there's always something new you have to learn. And it can get overwhelming because by the time you learn one thing, here's something else that comes in that you have to learn. It's just so overwhelming. This is why a lot of artists get frustrated because they have, once by the time they learn this one thing, get pretty good at what, right? And now they have to, like, for instance, when it comes to social media, like understanding the algorithms, like understanding how Instagram works. And like that's a whole again.
I can't even fuck with like
right.
Shit.
There's so many things that you have to that come at you daily as a creative trying to do this professionally, that can be overwhelming at times. And I always share with people, there will be times that you will feel that way. There will be times that you will get overwhelmed. And those are the times that you have to kind of just take a deep breath, take a step back, and just do something to get your mind right. Because again, like this is mental, and pursuing this career will mentally fuck you, if that makes sense. It'll mess you up. It'll put you in mental spaces that it's tough and it's hard.
Yeah.
Okay. Got 2 minutes. Okay. Are we being timed? I think it's just.
I mean, it's kind of being, I guess, on this Zoom. I'm not really like I do Zoom.
No, we're good. No, we're good. Like usually Zoom, as long as it's less than 3 people.
Yeah, I believe it just goes.
Yeah, like I have the pro version of Zoom, so.
Yeah, me too. So
if you have the pro version of Zoom, then it doesn't matter how many people get into the room. It'll never kick you out. The free version is the one that limits you. If you get three more people, that's when they time it.
They start timing.
But if it's just like us, we're fine. They're not gonna.
I thought it was like that all across the board. I was
no. It's just only when you put in the free version of Zoom. Once you put a third person in, that's when they time you.
Okay.
But if it's just 2 people, they don't. This can go for 4 hours and nobody's gonna stop you.
Yeah. All right. Well, sorry to interrupt you.
That's fine.
I just thought.
No. It's cool.
Cut off or whatever, but
no. It's not gonna cut off.
And it shouldn't. Yeah, and it shouldn't. The other day, I mean, I have meetings all the time, so it's like I talk forever, or it just goes for however long it goes, and usually we
Right.
can end it whenever, and that's fine. I just, for
Right.
whatever reason, it was different on my phone. On my phone, I don't think it like synced in up to my profile or whatever, but it sent like this weird thing, this message saying something about it only doing like 40 minutes or something. But I think you're right. When it's over 4 people, I think that's what it said too.
Yeah, 3 people. So
3 people.
if it's a third person, if it's 3 people or more in the free version, it's when it times you. If it's less than that, if it's just 2 people, you
Yeah.
know, so they won't it doesn't time at all. So,
Yeah, good. So
but
back to what we were saying.
okay,
Yeah, this industry is just, I mean,
yeah,
it's
it's a motherfucker, man. It'll
it is a
definitely
motherfucker. Like, oh my
like
gosh, I got
it'll
lost.
that
I
yeah.
haven't seen you in so long because this is like it's become my like
Well,
little
and you can
sphere
see,
of world.
don't you see the value for a coach? Don't you see the value for
I do, absolutely. And if I had really thought with my logical brain before I mean it I would have been so much further in the game than I am now if I had, just held on to a coach, held on to a mentor, and then just took it from there. Um, I kind of got sideswiped with a lot of different things at one time. My daughter I'm still in a lot of court battles. So I didn't want to have to like barge out of commitment and barge out of like all everything that I was involved in, because it's kind of had to be like at my own pace just because of that element that plays into it. Um, which is manageable, but it's just wasn't going with what I needed a long time ago. But if I had listened, I would have been so much further. You need to get somebody to mentor everything, to mentor you while you're going through all of this stuff. It's just too much to do and too much to hold on your own and think that you can do without it, and think that you can just,
yeah, yeah, it's tough. Like
yeah, it
there,
really is. It really is.
there's a lot to do, and you need a team, right? But the thing about it is too, you have to be able to pay your team. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
funding
So
and all of that stuff. It's
yeah,
so
that's where most artists,
yeah.
honestly, that's where the majority of artists struggle, is because
Yeah.
it comes down to is to money, because most people are funding this from their 9 to 5 jobs,
Yeah.
because it's hard to go get an investor. It's hard to go get a traditional investor
Yeah.
who does it, because you have to be careful, because if they don't understand how the music industry works, they may have money, but you don't
Yeah.
necessarily want to take money from them, because
It's
if,
not
if
like
they
that.
don't see, they may not see the immediate return and be like, oh, well, I gave you 50 grand and I want to make $100,000.
Yeah,
Just
by
doesn't know,
next Monday or by next month, or
and
whenever.
it just doesn't work like that. So music was what I call a long play. Everything about it is a long play. So you have to have the, people that understand how this stuff really works before you start just taking a bunch of money and things like that. Now in Canada, uh, they're very different out there. The Canadian government really supports the arts.
Mhm.
So they actually provide funding for artists. You can get grants.
Yeah, yeah.
So they realize that
I'm gonna start
because
packing while you talk. I'm gonna start packing and I'm gonna go to Canada.
oh yeah. But I mean, because they have grants that really help artists. I mean, you can get grants to go into the studio, record a demo. You can get grants to go to conferences. They will pay for you to travel to other places to go to get education. They have educational grants. They have so many things that will help independent artists really navigate. Now, it's not easy to get the grants,
No,
but once you figure out how to get them and how
you
to
gotta go through
go
that.
about doing it, yeah, because it gives artists the funding, allows them to have fun, because when you don't have to, if you know that you have $50,000 or even 20,000, even 10,000, some kind of budget to work with,
Yeah.
you know,
Then
when
you
you
can
first
make
start,
better decisions.
then you can be like, okay, I can allot this money because you know, and it's again, it's not money you have to pay back. It's, you know, it's a grant. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? So, you know, it's money that the government has allotted for certain things. You know,
Yeah.
and so it makes it because you know over there they run more of a socialistic style government. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So you know where it's almost like they rather have 10 people make 100,000 than having 3 people make 1 million.
Yeah.
You know, because they, you know, because again, here in America, everything's free enterprise. Like you eat what you kill, you know, you know, over
Yeah.
there, right? Oh yeah, over there, it's you know, they, because I believe in Canada, they also have universal health care, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
they do. They do.
But
A lot
that being,
different from
but
most.
that being said, I guess the flip side of that is said is like, okay, well, if it's universal health care, then maybe the healthcare isn't as good because you don't have to pay for it. So I guess, you know, who knows? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But I do know in terms of funding, they have a lot of, like my man Do Gibson, who is an artist in Canada. He's a black artist. Well, he's biracial, but you know he's a hit. But and he's been doing music full time for 20 years,
Yeah.
making a six-figure income. And a lot of what he does is he goes to the school. He's written a book. He's written, actually he just dropped his second book. Um, but a lot of what he does is he goes to elementary schools and he gets booked to teach them about hip hop. And he's like a motivational speaker, and he gets paid to
A
do
lot
that.
like what you do. You do a lot of speaking and stuff too. I saw on
Yeah,
and
I share, you know, but I want to definitely get more into the motivational side. But yeah, Do does a lot of that in terms of, he also does music tours, but a lot of what he does is he goes to schools and they pay him real nicely to sit there and these kids like an assembly. Like you know how we went to school and they had assemblies and the kids would all come together in the
yeah, I
gym.
used to miss assemblies, man. They used to bring in some really, really cool people sometimes
Yeah.
to come in and
And
talk.
that's how he does it, you know, and he's been doing this for 20 years as almost as a full-time job. It's like, you know, and you know, and he remembered the first time he ever got his first grant, like in 1999 or over 2001 or whatever it was, you know, and to been able to sustain it this long and where he's able to do what he's been able to do. He's been on several tours all over the world and doing it all independently. You know, no record label, no anything, just him doing his thing. And again, a lot of that is because of the government able to believes in supporting the arts. So it makes it much easier for Canadian artists um, who are trying to build a career because at least they know there's opportunities for funding. I really, if American artists knew that they had opportunities for funding, not saying there isn't any out because there are grants out here available too, but they're not like
Yeah, there are.
they're not easily known about. Like you
Yeah,
can't
you
just
gotta
go
really
look at it.
find them. And really
Right, you have to really know where it is you're searching at and know what it is you're doing
yeah,
um,
yeah.
in
That's a
order to get access to a lot of that stuff. So,
yeah. You
but you
really
know,
gotta be like immersed and on a like you said, relationships with people. You really have to have a relationship with somebody that knows that avenue and can
yeah.
direct you in that way. Because if not, then you're not gonna really find it's so hard to
Yeah,
find
and
friends.
unfortunately, a lot of people aren't willing to be as open, and you know, if they don't have a relationship with you to tell you, you know, because they're almost like, hey, I'm not gonna I had to go figure it out on my own, so you have to go figure it out on your own. I mean, I don't believe in that. I believe in each one teach one. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And
Yeah.
if you know, you don't have to. I mean, there's to me, there's enough for all of us out here to be successful. Because you think about it, going back to what you said about being lawyers and doctors, right?
Mhm.
We have no shortage of people who want to go. There's no shortage of people who still want to go to med school, go to law school.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have some right, but there's tons of doctors out here.
Mhm.
But there's no shortage of people that still don't want to go to law school, med school, or whatever. And you would think so. It goes to show you there's no such thing as saturation because you just have to find what makes you different and what makes you, you know, because
What
again,
sets
we
you
have no
apart?
shortage of people that want to go into these professions.
Yeah.
You know,
And it really is an individual pursuit. Like you really it's like a self, it's like a journey basically. Like you're only gonna go wherever your curiosity leads you. You're only gonna go in that direction. And if you are not curious about, going a step further or venturing into something because you're afraid of what the outcome is going to look like, or you're not willing to, set aside money or pay for a mentor or anything like that. If you're not willing to do that, that's why I said, like, if you're not willing to get your elbows dirty or put in the elbow.
Yeah, and I'll tell you a quick story. Recently, I had a guy, full sales, reached out to me, and he liked what I was doing, and he reached out to me about wanting me to come onto his team. And essentially he wanted me to work. Um, essentially, he wanted me to work with him for free, or he said something like, "Oh, come, I want to work with you." Like essentially, like he wanted me to come onto his team, use my knowledge and expertise to help him. Of like, I just want to do a royalty split. Like, bro, like a royalty split.
What the fuck are you talking?
A royalty split in the land of streaming? Like, what are you talking about? Like, you know what I mean? Like he said, well, if I pay you, then if I pay you, because he kept saying, well, I'm graduating full sale. He almost feel like he would be selling himself short to, as a graduate of graduating full sale, but then hired me, um, without using the things that he went to school for, so he would feel comfortable. So he's like, if I pay you your whatever your price is, then that eats to my marketing budget monthly. I said, well, hey, and I told him, hey, this thing's expensive, man. This The thing that you decided to partake in is expensive, and if you want somebody, it's going to be very hard for you to find people that's going to come work for you for free.
Yeah. Really.
I mean, unless they're your best friend or somebody but to go to solicit people who don't really know you like that, I always tell people the best way to show somebody you respect their time is to pay them.
Yeah. Truly.
That's just the best way to do it, because of you. And when you pay them up front, when you pay them up front later, what they don't understand is when you pay them up front, later on, when it's no longer a pay situation, they're going to look out for you because you respected their time initially. When you try to come into it not trying to pay somebody, if you don't have a relationship with somebody, hey man, how much does it cost to work with you? Because see, that lets me know that you respect my time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Enough to work with me, to pay me for my time. Trying to get somebody to come work with you because they don't. What's in it for them? They don't have a vested interest in who you are.
Yeah.
So why should they come and do something for you for free? If you say you respect them, then pay them for their time.
Yeah,
because that's going to show them that
valuable to you, especially if you actually use and implement what they're talking about. And if they're that kind of mentor, they're going to make sure that you're implementing it. They're going to make sure that you're doing, at least your end of the bargain to a certain point. They're not going to fucking hand feed you. They're not going to take you and do the shit for you, but they're at least going to say, hey, you should, do this.
And having an accountability partner. I mean, just that alone is gonna, just having somebody that you can. So what people don't realize is, so people who are successful have people in their they pay them just to keep them around, just to be able to call them and ask them questions.
Yeah.
They just just to be able to call and ask them questions. That's enough for them to keep them paying them whatever their monthly fee. Because again, it's like having a lawyer on retainer. You know what I mean? You keep your lawyer on retainer for that very reason. So like, okay, in case I need you, I just want to be able to bounce ideas off. Because the thing I hate is people who always, I don't mind answering a question here or there, but if you're coming to me all the time and we don't have the type of relationship where it's like, oh yeah, you're the homie, or like you're like family, or then it's like, okay, I got to think about what am I really doing here? Because again, I give away free knowledge all the time on my social media, I'm always giving away knowledge for free. But if you're somebody who doesn't feel, because unfortunately with artists, they're some of the only people who feel like they shouldn't have to pay anything. You should work with them because they're just that good. And everybody tells me all the time, "Oh man, we're gonna make so much money together.
Yeah. It's
Oh, you should manage it." I said, "Listen, why should I manage you? I don't know you. You don't have a relationship. You don't have anything
if
vested."
Drake walked in, then I would say, fuck yeah, we're gonna make
Yeah,
a lot of damn money. But who
yeah.
does that? Drake doesn't need a
But
fucking
everybody, but there's so many artists because they think that, not all of them, but a majority of them think that the professional artists understand that, hey, I don't mind paying. The people who look
yeah,
at this,
yeah.
they're not looking to get stuff for free.
Mhm. Yep.
They're not. It's the people who are just starting out who just think this is easy and that you should just work with them.
Yep.
Because see, before the internet, you actually had to know people to get inside this industry. This wasn't an industry that anybody could just get into.
Yeah.
You had to really know somebody. You had to have real relationships. We call those gatekeepers.
Yep.
There used to be gatekeepers in
They
this
are the
industry.
gatekeepers. I have heard this, and
You know what I mean? Now there are still some to an extent, but because of the internet, there really isn't. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing, and that could be a good thing because again, nowadays because of the internet, you're able to do things the way you want to do them. You know, because see, the record companies no longer are the driving force in the industry anymore. They used to be. So what that means is when record companies used to be the driving force in the industry, if that A&R signed you to a deal, right? That A&R who signed you, who got you to the label, they were championing you. So let's just say that A&R ends up leaving, or that A&R team ends up leaving, and somebody else new comes in. They don't know you. They don't have an interest in you. They just inherited you. So now you don't have to prove yourself all over again. And I always was told people who work for labels that you have to believe in that artist so much to be willing to lose your job for that. Like, because if this artist, there's for every Chris Brown that makes it or Justin Bieber, there's about 50 or 60 who never, quote unquote, signed to major record labels and never make, quote unquote, make it, whatever making it means.
yeah,
So making it is
whatever making
relative,
it means.
whatever making it means, right? Because to me, if you can just go and pay your bills doing what you love to do, you know, for you talk about audio production, I have my buddy T Zank, Taylor Zank. He lives in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and the guy has been doing music full time for like 5, 6 years. And I mean, and as a music producer, as an artist, as well as an engineer. So not just so he's been able to support his family full time doing that, right?
Mhm.
And so, but also you got to think he lives in Fort Wayne, Indiana. The cost of living is not as high.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The cost of living here is fucking sky high.
Exactly. So you got to think. And he might be one of the only guys in his area that does what he does. So now you become you're in a smaller pond, but now you're one of the bigger fish in the smaller pond. People know who you are. They know you do good work.
Mhm.
You can make consistent money because one thing about music, there's no shortage of people who want to be artists. There's no shortage of people who want to be. There's no shortage of people who want to be in this business.
No, there
If
is
you're good at what you do, there's always going to be people that want to be in the
for
space,
sure.
right? So
Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, so it's there's different ways to success looks different for everybody,
It
and I
does.
think there's too many people who only look at success in one prism. Like there's artists who only see success as I gotta be at Beyonce's level.
Yeah.
I'm not at Beyonce's level, and it's like you realize that Beyonce is like an all-star.
Mhm.
Beyonce is like the Hall of Famer. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
in sports, like you very few people get to her level and ever will
Yeah.
get to her level.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
I mean, that's like a
trying to get to
enterprise. That's a whole fucking
yes. I
Jesus.
mean, most people. Truth is, most people don't have her type of work ethic either. Like, see, again, talking about success, most of the people, me included, sometimes, we're all guilty of this.
Yeah.
We all sometimes want success that we're not ready for. You know, we all want success that we're not ready for because we want we want the purpose of success.
Mhm. We want
Again, I'm guilty.
we want the byproduct
Yeah,
of success. We definitely do.
but are we willing to do what it takes to be at that level? Most people aren't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's
it doesn't mean you're a bad person. Just most of us aren't. Most of us aren't willing to do what those type of successful people do.
Yeah.
But we want this. And I always you can't. You have to be willing to do what those successful people do. And think about, and everybody. The truth is about life is everybody can't be rich and famous. It's impossible. See, you have too many people now who want to. All they chase is fame, and fame to me is fleeting. Like I don't want fame. Fame looks like fame to me looks like a lot of hard work
Yeah.
and stuff
It
that I
just
want.
looks exhausting to me.
Yeah.
It
It
looks
doesn't
exhausting.
look like anything I want anything to do with. But again, people naturally think if I'm famous, that means I'm successful. And I don't think they equate the differences between that, right? So yeah, it just when it comes to this industry, man, there's people that get into this industry for the wrong reasons, you know, versus what it used to be. You know, the good thing about the music industry today is that you can do things your way. You know, you can build your own community, you can build your own tribe. You don't have to adhere. You don't have to be what the industry says you have to be. See, a lot of people are chasing the music industry versus do music business, right?
Yep.
There's a difference between both.
Yeah.
And so
Really
you
is.
don't have to be a famous, you know,
Whatever. You don't have to be
whatever you
Beyonce.
are to be again, like I said, to
You don't
be
have to be
successful.
Drake. You don't have to be
Right.
them. You can
Because
be you and survive in this
and right.
industry.
And it might not look it might not look glamorous. It might not be what you thought it is. You might not live in $1 million house. You
Yeah.
know, you might not drive a $1 million car. You know, you
Still
might
go for that. Still, I
yeah.
mean, if that's what you want to do, if that's like your motive for being in this industry, then I mean, shit, by all means, go for it because I mean, why not? Who else isn't going for it? But don't come into this industry with that expectation.
Right. And I think a lot of people look at music, unfortunately, as a hustle.
Yeah.
I think so. This is my personal opinion. I feel like a lot of people now, because it's again the barriers to entry are so low these days.
Mhm.
A lot of people come into this space trying to thinking it's easy,
Yeah.
and it's not, man. It's not. A lot of times, see, you only used to always see the finished product with everything. You know, see nowadays people actually want to watch your grind. But again, in the old industry, nobody cared about watching you come up because again, we call it artist development. Nobody cared about watching your journey come up. Now they do
Yeah.
because now it's about building a tribe.
Mhm.
It used to be
Things
about
have changed. Very much have changed. And
you
it's
know the finished product was nobody. You think about it when you went to concerts as a kid. You didn't care what they did off the stage. I mean, I didn't go to a lot of live concerts, but I don't know if you did or not. But when you went to a live concert,
yeah.
you didn't
I've been
necessarily
to a
who's
couple.
your favorite? Who's one of your favorite groups? Who's your
Oh
favorite? Who
shit.
did you have? Who have you seen live?
Sublime. I have this tattoo right here. Sublime is like my all-time favorite band.
Okay.
I never got the chance to see them live, but I've seen Sublime with Rome live. And that it's off the chain. It's crazy. It's so much
Yeah.
different than hearing their music on an
Right.
album anyway.
Right. And so, but you didn't care. There's a time where you didn't care um, what they did off the stage. You just want to come. You paid your money, go to
Yeah.
the show,
I just want to see them perform.
see them perform, and you went home, and that's all. You know, nowadays it's flipped. You care about what they have going on about off the stage. You care about those things.
Mhm.
Those things sometimes matter more than the music
Yeah.
of what
In today's
because
world, it's a lot.
because of social media because now you're much more connected. You can DM. You can think about it. There was a time where you could not DM. You couldn't go personally reach out to your favorite band.
Yeah.
You can go to somebody. You can go to their Instagram right now. Now they may not respond,
Yeah.
but you can go to their Instagram
Hmm.
and DM anybody you want to. You can go DM Beyonce. Is she going to respond? Probably
Maybe
not.
not.
She might.
She's
She
probably
might
not
see
see
the
it.
message,
Yeah,
and
she might see it, which is
you know,
awesome. But
yeah.
that's yeah.
But
That's
yeah,
today's world.
right. So you literally have direct access to anybody you want to. So
Exactly.
that's the
You have to
that's the,
know how to approach that.
yeah, that's the difference.
That
So,
is a whole
but
nother level of like relationship, like,
right,
you know what I mean?
but
Knowing
I share that because of how it is today versus how it used to be. You know, again, you didn't care what Prince did off the stage.
yeah.
You went to see a Prince show. You paid your money. He entertained you for 2 3 hours, and you went home.
Mhm. That's why I made in music, to be honest. Innovative music, or innovation meets music, is my podcast. I'm trying to um not just break away that, that candor that you need when you're approaching a music industry artist who is at that level. I'm what I'm doing is just showing that uh it's not just organic. It's, you have to stay more than organic. You have to be relevant, first of all, and bring value. And there's a lot to juggle. And that's what I'm literally trying to show people through this podcast, and through, the various artists and the guests, my friends, and just relationships that I've built up. And some of them are not as in-depth relationships as I do other people, and that's just how it goes. But I'm trying to show people that um it's not hard to start and find a way that sets you apart from other people, and just go through the process and be willing to invest. That's basically what this show is going
Yeah,
to be, following the lines of along the way, because they're gonna see the fucking money I have to spend. They're gonna see all of that shit real live. Like, here's my fucking bank account draining because this is not just something that it takes $0. This is something that takes one and then a whole lot of zeros after that.
yeah,
It's like you need at least 100,000 to even get anywhere, and it's like, and it's not no so extra like that. That's an exaggerate number, but it's not. But it's not.
yeah. I
You
mean, you know, like anything, it's. I think people come into this industry or this career path with extravagant expectations
Yeah.
because and again, if something doesn't, a lot
Work.
of times
Yeah.
doesn't end up being what we want it to be, we consider it a failure. But it's like no, like you you can't try to do the things that Drake does. Drake has a machine behind him.
Mhm.
You as an independent artist can't do those things. You can't do what these the one percenters, I call them, can do. You, because they have machines behind it that you don't have. So trying to say, okay, I'm going to do the same rollout that Drake did,
Yeah.
you can't do it. Drake can drop a surprise album and not tell anybody about it because it's Drake. Because he knows that once it's out there, people are gonna love,
Yeah.
or
He's got
people,
to follow. He's got.
but the average, the artists who are just starting out yesterday, like the rules for new artists are different for the rules for somebody like Drake or Kanye or anybody like that, because it's just different for them. So a lot of people just come into this industry trying to do those type of things, not understanding. Just run your own race, man. You only
Exactly. I
like
was gonna say that it is individual. You can't come into this industry and expect to follow anybody else's footsteps. Basically, don't try to be Beyonce, or don't try to be any of these other people, because it's not gonna work out. If you expect that,
it's not gonna it'll work out, but a lot of the times it'll be different than how you thought it was.
yeah.
You
Oh yeah.
know,
To a
you
certain
know
degree, it can work out. It can. The drive and all sorts of other stuff have to be there
exactly.
in order for you to survive in
And
that
and the truth is,
goal.
it takes a little bit of luck, man. It takes a little bit of
It
luck.
does, man. It really does. Like I'm saying, and that's that's how
And
this whole thing got
and luck, as they say, luck is preparation. luck is when preparation and opportunity meet, right? But I always say we call that serendipity. So there's certain you can work hard for things, but then there's just certain things that you just can't plan for, you
Mhm.
know, and that's what I mean by serendipity. There's certain things that you can't plan for.
Yeah.
There's certain things that you just can't, no matter what it is, you just didn't plan for that. But you took advantage of it because you were at least prepared, but you didn't know that situation was going to happen. Like so a quick little story because I know we've been rocking, but another quick
We've
little
been rocking
story is
for a minute now because
yeah.
I could get carried away, and I know you can too. With
Yeah, well, I'm having a blast. So
it's fast, dude. It's
it's no word.
and I want to just before you get into the story, I just want to say like that's why I am still so interested in you as a person, and I cannot wait to fucking put some money in your damn hands, dude. Like I'm so sorry. I've
Well,
been
I could use. Trust me, I'm not gonna lie to you. I could use it right now.
I know exactly. That's why
but
I'm
it's all
doing this. I know it's fucking.
yeah.
This
It's
shit is not and you
it's been
play
a
a
little,
huge part, dude. And I just
yeah.
want to say like I know that you are because you helped me without even knowing about it. I know
Yeah.
that if somebody knew that you were helping and you knew that you were helping, I know that they will go to an even
Yeah,
further.
I mean,
I know it's like
and
it's
I'm not a super expert in everything, but one day
just
I
have a
am.
different passion about this.
Yeah,
And that's
I'm
what me
right.
attracted to you. You just have
Exactly,
a different passion about this.
exactly. So yeah, you're right, and that's why and whenever you're ready, and and we can discuss that off
Off air.
the recording, but yeah, man, I just continue to make a difference, man, and I try to never stress about money. I feel like look, I've been doing it this long, and something good is always, I don't, so the days where it gets tough because there are tough days, you know, but I always say that like I'm doing one thing I'm supposed to be doing, so it always works out, even in the tough days. Because I'm gonna lie, there are days it's like, man, I'm gonna eat today, just being transparent, like I'm
Yeah,
gonna,
yeah.
you know,
That's me too. The fuck sometimes like last week I was worried about how am I gonna get fucking baby formula? How am I gonna do that? But it all comes together. Everything comes together. And I mean like it when you're doing what you need to do in this industry and you're playing into where you need to play into and working where you need to work into, you are provided with what you need when you honestly give in to like I don't know what to call it, but give in to the stress of having to see a little bit go in order for it to come back. That's
mhm.
what people are stressed about is seeing just a little bit go because a little can mean 2,000 to somebody, a little can mean 10,000 to somebody. It's all perspective, but a
Yeah.
little even $100. I was in a meeting with another company and this guy is like going nuts about $100 that he had to spend and he's like about to jump out of the fucking chair and into the screen and like attack these people and it's like dude like go through the process, figure out where you stand first. Don't get like fuck dude making
Yeah.
a fight over here and it's like
Right.
go through the process, get your elbows dirty and apply what you're learning and maybe if you're good enough it'll come back but you're setting yourself up you're setting yourself up for failure if you're worried about that 97 bucks, if you're worried about that 2,000 bucks, if you're worried about any given monetary value for what you're going to get back in non-monetary value, it's a no-brainer for me. It's a no-brainer. So when I'm to that point,
Yeah.
because I spent a shitload and that's how it's been going, you have to spend a
Yeah.
lot in order
Yeah.
to realize
And that's always been
I'm not done
but
spending. And that's the
yeah.
biggest thing of it is I'm not done
Yeah.
spending, you know?
Yeah, but like you said,
Ever.
a lot of people, a lot of people look, they don't look at the spending as, oh my God, they look at this, I'm investing into myself.
Yeah. And it's
So,
not really just that.
so again, the people who just look at it, they're like, okay. And again, there's certain returns on investments that don't come. They might take years to come back
Long
to you.
term. You got to think more in the long term, in the
Right.
macro, in the compound.
Exactly. There's too many people. Like, if you're looking for music to be a quick return on investment, this is probably not the career for you.
Yeah, unless you're like Beyonce or like
But you got to also too. Beyonce's been in the game 20
Yeah,
years,
she's got that.
almost 30 actually.
Yeah, she's
She's
got
been in
that.
the game since 1992 with her. Like, yeah, so you're talking about.
She's got
So,
the
so you
experience.
talk about she's
Got
been in the
all of it.
industry almost 30 years.
Years. Yeah, that's as long as I've been alive. Shit, I'm only 31. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? For as long as I've been alive,
Oh,
I've
you're a
heard
nine.
Beyonce.
Are you born in 90 or 89?
90,
Wow.
right?
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
Right?
90.
It's insane.
I'm 85. So
Okay. Okay, not
yeah.
far behind. Not far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even
So,
that, I mean, yeah, it's yeah, it's
you have to
definitely.
have it all together like Beyonce. If you want to be like Beyonce, you might as well just go jump in her fucking skin, start taking over her damn life, because that's the only way it's gonna
But
happen.
if you also think too, right? So you're also going to realize. So Matthew knows. If you know a bit about Matthew, like Matthew knows,
Yeah.
her parents, they weren't like they were pretty well off,
Mhm.
because her dad was an executive for Xerox for a long time,
Yep.
and see, back in them days, you didn't have the internet, so Matthew Knowles had to quit his job
Mhm.
to go full fledged into this music thing, because you didn't have what you have now. You
Yep.
didn't have YouTube.
Promoting like
You didn't have what. So it's like people like him, Sonya Norwood, which is Brandy and Ray J's mom. Like these women, these people who became these parents who became powerhouses as mad Usher's mom, all of them.
Yeah.
They had to quit their job because there was no at that time there was no internet. So if you're gonna do it and do it right, you had to go all the way in. So thankfully for Matthew Knowles, like him and his wife at the time, Tina, they I mean, I don't think they were like millionaires, but they were doing really,
They were
really
doing
well.
really well off.
So they can so at the time, so they could invest the type of money too back then that it took to, that it took to get Beyonce and Kelly and get them where they wanted to be. But Matthew had a plan. He knew what he had to do. I know people that personally know him. I've met him. I've really met him, but I've been in the same room with him a few different times.
Mhm.
And it's just that it was a different time, and so but they had to do what they had to do, and there was a lot of money and energy and time invested, you know, that they had to do. So people who want to be and they had people who want to achieve the success that Beyonce and Kelly and Michelle and even before that Latavia and all of them have had to different iterations of Destiny's Child. For them to have the success that they've had, like it's a lot of sacrifice and time and things that went into that nobody ever saw. You you know, so
Yeah, yeah. It's just a totally different time, a totally different era. We are uh there's just there's so many people and just things are different now.
right. And I think it's a better time now. I mean, it's a better time because now because of the internet and because of what we have now, you
The
can do.
potential for the
Yeah.
internet is never going to go down. It's always gonna rise. So with
Pro-
that,
it's a double-edged sword because the good thing about it now is that there's opportunities more than ever before. The bad thing is the internet is clutterfucked with people. Uh,
clutterfuck. Oh my god, that's a
you gotta
true
realize
word for it.
there's 60,000 songs just to Spotify, upload to Spotify every day. 60,000
Hey.
songs
Mhm.
every day.
Yep. And as an
So
artist, you have to compete with that
yeah,
60,000.
so 60,000 songs means that they're not discovering you. Spotify is not a discovery platform. They're not going to find you just because your stuff's on Spotify.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you don't
To be
tell
a lot
people,
more vast than that. You want to be a lot
yeah.
more well-rounded than
So
that.
this is why it's about building an audience. Back to kind of what I teach is building an audience, building your tribe, getting super fans, getting those people that really love you and to go die hard for you. That's really where independent artists, independent creatives should be really put their focus is finding that tribe of people. It doesn't have to be a lot of people. 500 to 1,000, people is really, you're in a good spot at that point, you
Mhm.
know.
Yep.
So
Truth. Yep.
it just, again it just depends on your mentality, man. There are some people who just only see success in one, like I said earlier, only see success in one prism, and that's they have to be the most famous person ever. And for people like that, I can't help people like that because that's just not the way I think.
Mm-hmm.
So those are not the ideal people for me. But if that's what they want, then hey, that's what they want. That's just not who I just can't help them because I just don't subscribe to the if I'm famous, if I never get famous, I'm not successful. I personally,
Those kinds of people are found out really easily. You can
yeah,
tell really quickly where their intent is.
people like that. I just it's hard for me because we'll never align vision wise
Yeah.
because they
I
only
agree.
see and they'll people artists like that need record companies. If you want to be on that type of level, you need a record label because the record label. One thing the major labels have that one thing they will always have is they have the resources.
Yep. They
That's
should.
one thing that they will always have. That being said, there's only there's like five major record companies. So the odds of everybody getting signed to it's just not going to happen, right? Everybody, and not everybody needs a record label. Not every artist needs a label, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yep.
So you just have to understand what is it that you need, what is it that makes sense for you,
Mm-hmm.
and go about it that way if that makes sense.
Yep. Absolutely. I couldn't have said it any better. That's perfect. And so we're coming. How long has it been going now? I just
Probably about an hour and a half or so.
yeah, keep it time.
Yeah.
You know, um, so many gems, so much shit we just went over just now. It's like,
Yeah.
oh my god, so much for even my head to wrap around again. Once I start thinking about all of that, it makes me like super. I get pumped up, but at the same time, it's like an an anxiety that's like no other. Just because it's just a lot. It's a lot to deal with. So, thank you for coming on to my podcast and enjoying this space and this time with me and going over, the things that we love to do. I love this business, and honestly, I'm in it for the long run,
Mm.
and that's just the way that I'm gonna do it. It's just
Yeah, and that's good. And well, I'm glad that you're pursuing the thing
Full
that
Sail
you.
University. I would have never thought. I mean, I just didn't tie the dots together, but that's really cool.
Yeah,
That
man.
was something I did not expect.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. And I never thought I would actually end up at Full Sail University. It kind of just happened, and it ended up, and it worked out for me. And
I'm
and
excited for that.
again, Full Sail is just a stepping stone. It's not the end all be all.
Yep,
You know, it's
absolutely.
just a stepping stone to get you where you want to go. The journey's long, man,
Yep, it is.
and
I
and
still
it's.
need you. For real,
So
for real.
yeah. So just keep doing what you're doing. Anybody that's out here, just keep doing what you're doing, um, and surround yourself with the people who believe in you, who want to see you win, and again, success might not look like what you intended, what you envisioned, but it doesn't mean that you can't have success. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
that's one of the hardest things to learn because in your mind, we all want success to look a certain way.
I just
You
ride
know,
with curiosity.
yeah,
That's what rides me. I mean, I ride with curiosity, and I find myself in places that I never thought I would end up. So
Right.
that's where I think about it, And for anybody that wants to follow Durell Peart, go to durellpeart.com and get with him.
You're
As
right.
he's an amazing guy,
And
tremendously
thank you so much. I appreciate
valuable
that.
in this
Yeah.
space. Tremendously
And
valuable on many levels, man. I'm so thankful that you got to come on here and do this with me.
I'm so glad to be here for sure. And also, so y'all could also text me directly. If you wanted to shoot me a text, you can go to leave your number. You can go to textdurell.com. That's TEXT. Durell, DURELL. Textdurell.com. Leave your number there. Shoot me a text. I'm on social media everywhere at Durell Peart. DURELLPEART on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. So
It'll be in the links. I'm gonna definitely add all your stuff to this episode. So if
okay,
you're
great,
watching this, just click on the links, link up with this dude. Let's get it going. Like honestly, let's get it going.
awesome, Christina. Thank you for having me on your podcast. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt. See you soon.
All right.
All right.